right now. You can start.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, dedicated parents, friends, and passionate viewers, welcome to another webinar conducted by Rockets. This is a platform of aspiration, determination, and excellence. As we embark on this journey together, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to each one of you for joining us from various corners of the globe, united by a common goal to pave the way for a brighter future ahead. And to our viewers across the social media platforms like Zoom, YouTube, and Facebook, your presence amplifies our spirit, reminding us that we are not alone in this pursuit of excellence. Students often wonder what is the process of an undergraduate education like, and they're often stressed about a various numbers of applications which has to be submitted at various colleges and at various deadlines and timelines. They're confused and overwhelmed about how to maintain this order. And so today's discussion focuses on navigating through these documents required for a good application that will ultimately guide or lead to a good international education. Joining us today is Vishnupriya Acharya, an alumni of Rockwoods Junior College. And I'm your host, Vedashri Lingala, who is an alumni of Rockwoods. Welcome, Vishnupriya.
Hi Veda, how have you been doing?
I'm doing great. It's really fun to be back on the webinar again. How are you?
Yeah,
How are you today?
I'm good. I'm also very excited to be doing this. Okay,
Oh,
so I'm ready. Let's start.
yes. Today's webinar is about navigating college admissions with ease, the Common App and advantage of the Common App. Next slide, please. Today's session's objectives are: what is a Common App? So what is it generally used and who uses it? How does a student create their account on Common App? And how does a dashboard help for a student to navigate through the Common App, and what are the components that they have to fill in the Common App? And we'll also be discussing one of the important topic, that is university specific questions and recommendations that students have to submit. And to discuss about this topic in further more details, I would request Vishnupriya to talk.
Yes, thanks Veda. So as Veda has already summarized, we are going to be talking about the Common App and some of its features and what it is all about, and get to understand it in brief talk. So first things first, what is a Common App? Common App is an application which can be submitted to all universities. So let's break this down into components. Common, so it is a standard common, it can be used for most places. So that kind of application. Application as in your college application, a student who is doing college applications, they can use the Common App and send it to multiple universities, which you can submit to all universities. That's what it means. It is a standard application which can be sent to all universities that have been selected by the student. It works for most universities in the United States of America. So why most here? Because there are some colleges or universities which have their own application and which have their own supplemental essays. So what happens is that some of the universities, they don't use Common App, they have their own application, and the rest of the universities, some of them have their own application as well as they use Common App. So Common App is a good place to start, and it's mostly valid everywhere, and it's most students can submit it anywhere. So the third thing is, it is easy to set up and simple to work on. So Common App account, to create an account on Common App, it's a very simple thing, 2-3 steps, that's it, it's done. And then simple to work on because it has questions and everything already ready, which are very, very simple and which can be worked on easily. The only thing is the student will have to concentrate more on the answers because everything else is practically very much simple to do. And then the last we have is apply to multiple colleges in a single go. So one of the biggest advantages and the whole purpose of Common App is this: applying to multiple colleges in one go. What happens is this standard application that the student has created, that can go to multiple colleges in a single go, and the student doesn't need to keep submitting it again and again and again and again. So that is what the Common App is. Moving to the next slide, creating an account. So for this, you have to go to www.commonapp.org, click on create an account, which is on the home page. You'll have that button. Then enter personal mail ID, create password, few more basic details, and then your account can be created. But here, what I'd like to highlight is the personal mail ID that is used. It has to be one that is always with the student. That means the mails should always be accessible. And secondly, the personal mail ID, it has to be used in further communications with the college or the university in case you're accepted or in case you have something to convey to the college or university. So make the student should make sure that the personal mail ID is always permanent. In this case, it has to be there in all kinds of communications with the college because that is what is noted. So that is very important. And now I will just show a brief I'll just give a run through of how to create an account. We won't be creating an account, but we'll just look at it. It's very simple. So this is the Common App homepage, and here you have sign in, start your application, but you also have create an account. So we click on create an account, and then here we have 4 options. So because most of us are going to be first year students, there might be transfer students, but everybody here is going to be a first year student who has finished 12th grade and who is entering into college. So we click on first year student, and then we type email address. So this email address is what I was talking about. It has to be permanent. It has to be with the student at all times. Then type the email address, create a password, make sure the password follows the criteria of 10 to 32 characters, one uppercase, one lowercase, one number, one special character, and no spaces. So this criteria has to be followed, and then retype the password, make sure the password match. That is your account password. A student should remember what email ID they are using and what password they have created for the account, because it's going to help you log in, and Common App has to be logged in again and again. And then which best describes the student. So this depends on the student. If the student is applying for a fall 2024 application, then they'll be selecting the first option. If they are applying for the fall 2025 application, they'll be starting 24. They'll be clicking the second option and so on. So this is basically when the student wants to start going to college. So that depends on the student. Then we have personal information. So personal information is legal first given name. That means what is your name, or what is the student's name as per documents issued by the government. So it can be Aadhaar ID or your passport ID or some other government ID that has been issued. What is the first name on that? It has to be legal because it is used everywhere. Then would you like to share a first name that people call you? So here this is called preferred name. That means if I am Vishnu Priya, but I prefer to be called as Vishnu by people around me, that means I can just click on yes and I can share that I would like to be called as Vishnu. But that is not really required and that is not necessary either. So students can skip that. It's not a required question. If you look at this, the small star mark, I can just annotate. The small star mark here, that means it is a required question. It cannot be skipped. But other than that, this is not a required question, but this is a required question, and this is also a required question. So make sure to answer all required questions. So coming to the next point, last name, family name or surname. this has to be your surname. Again, as per documents, it is better. And then last thing is date of birth. So give the exact date of birth. Do not make mistakes. Contact details, add your phone number. Make sure to add country code. For India, it should be 91 plus 91. And then phone number. Address. Add the address. Put India here. And then continue with the address. It should have some your home address. So that's that. And then privacy policy and preferences. So there is a question about if someone is based in out of a European country or European Union country. So for that we will answer no because we are Indians. And then other terms and conditions here, all of those have to be checked, and then the student can click on create an account, and that is how a common app account is created. So once it is created, what will we be able to see? This is what we'll be able to see in the next slide. This. So this is the common app dashboard. This is a very important part. This is what a common app dashboard looks like. I'm going to annotate a little bit here so that we understand better. So this little green box here, it has two things. It's going to say hello your name. So if it is my account, it's going to say hello Vishnupriya Acharya, and then it is going to have a common app ID with a number. So it's going to say CAID, then it's going to give you a number. That is your common app ID, and a student has to remember the common app ID because that is how files are found. That is the serial number or the ID number, right? So with when communicating with colleges or universities in the future, that ID number is going to be very important because you will have to mention it, and then the college will be able to find out your application and they'll be able to understand the situation better. So that is a very important part. Coming to this thing, there are 5 tabs here, and those 5 tabs are so those 5 tabs are written here also. So why is that dashboard used is you work on the application, you send the application, then the application is tracked. So the progress of the application is known, and then this is done, and you add colleges also on to apply to, right? So all of this is done through 5 sections, 5 tabs on the Common App dashboard, which is the dashboard. It's called the dashboard. Then My Colleges, Common App, college search, and then financial aid resources. So coming back to this slide, what is dashboard? So dashboard is where the student can see every college they've applied to and where every college they want to apply to, I'd say, because their application is in progress, or if they've started the application or not, those things can be seen there, and a little more detail about where the progress of the application is actually. The next one is My Colleges. So My Colleges is basically the tab where the student can see all the colleges that they have added to their list. And say here the student has added Columbia, Dartmouth, Duke. So it's on the My Colleges tab also the student will be able to see, the student will be able to see on the left side Columbia, Dartmouth, Duke. And then what happens is that on there will be a drop down for every college, and on that the student will be able to see college information such as deadlines, requirements for the application, very basic information about the application itself for every college. And then they'll be able to see 2 more things, which are university specific questions and recommendations, which we will be coming to in the further slides. So that is what they see on My Colleges. Third is the Common App. So Common App is actually the standard application that we were talking about, and where the student is going to do the application bit of writing essays and doing this, doing that, all of that, giving information, all of that. So that is the Common App. It has certain components which will also be discussed later on. And then fourth is College Search. So College Search is basically where the student can search for colleges and then they can add colleges. So if I'm searching for Columbia University, as it is shown here, if I want to add Columbia University to my list, I can basically go on the college search tab. I can search for Columbia University. I'm going to get it, and then I'm going to get add university or add college. I will click on that, and it will get updated in the my colleges list on the left side. So that is how the college search is used. And then the last one is financial aid resources. So financial aid resources is basically, as the name suggests, it is to find out more about what kind of financial aid is there, what scholarships are, grants are, etc., etc. So the student can look through for whatever kind of resources, aid resources are available. So that's that. And then now we come to the components of common application. So when I say components of common application, I am talking about this one, common app, the third tab on the dashboard. So it has 7 components in total. All of them are very, very important. The first component is profile. Profile is the basic information about the candidate that is applying. So if I am the one applying, I'm going to give my name, my age, what school I've been studying in, I am studying in, and then my address, if my permanent address is the same as my mailing address or not, and such very basic information about the candidate. The second one is the family. So for any college, they want to know where the student comes from or who are there in the family and all of that. So they ask information about parents and their siblings. So that is your immediate family. So information for parents would be parents' names, parents' age, like date of birth, and then address, if the address is same or not, and then their marital status, and then where they have studied, their education. Same for the sibling, sibling name, sibling age. If the sibling is in some school, that's then the school name, etc. That is the family. So basic information about yourself in the profile section, and then basic information about yourself, your family in the family section. Third is education. Education is basically completely all the details about the candidates education. So all the schooling they've done, especially it is all only about high school. So 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th grade is what they're talking about. And then grades, if there's any honors or achievements, that if there's any courses that the student has taken. Courses, when I say courses, I mean credit courses. So if there's anything like that, then all of that comes under education. The fourth one is testing. So testing is all about standardized tests that have been taken, or about school tests also, but it's mainly about standardized tests. So if any student has taken the SAT or the ACT, they can self-report scores here, or they can officially send a report through College Board. But to self-report, this is the way. Some schools do accept self-reported scores. So that is how you do testing. And then it also has an academic. So it also has a section where you can report scores about your academics. Coming to activities and extracurriculars which have been done during high school, so 9 to 12th. Those activities, this section is particularly important because it gives the candidate or the student a chance to showcase whatever they have been doing or what they can do outside of academics. It is a big place. It has 10 sections, like 10 blanks that can be filled, 10 activities that can be listed, and it can range from anything like art and music to being leader in the school cabinet, being head boy, head girl, starting a book club, doing volunteering. It can be anything and everything. And then next we come to writing. So writing includes your personal statement. So the student, we were talking about essays in the last webinar. So this essay is included in the writing section. So there will be 6 prompts that are given, and the student has to select one prompt and then give an essay about it. Those prompts are very generic. They are all about life, and all the student can write about their life. It's just about choosing the right prompt. And then the last section is courses and grades. So whatever courses have been taken by the student in terms of academics, those courses and grades have to be self-reported in the courses and grades section. That is about the components of common application. Next, we have a very important part of the whole Common App. Veda was also talking about this. She did highlight it. So I'm going to show you here in the My Colleges section, the second tab, which we discussed about. There on the left side, I did say that for every college, there's going to be a drop down. So under that drop down, there's two things. There's actually three things. One is when you click on the university, it's going to give the university's informations, and the two other things are university specific questions and recommendations. So one more reason why we've added transcripts is we are highlighting how important transcripts are. They can also be submitted. So most colleges and universities require 9, 10, 11, 12th grade transcripts in order to know academic performance, and that can be requested along with recommendations. So we'll come to that. So the first section is called university specific questions or just questions. So those questions are general questions which the university wants to ask to know basic information about the candidate in terms of their major or what kind of clubs and activities they want to do while in university, or if they're trying for something else, this, that. So it's just the university trying to delve in a bit deeper into the students' whole background. And then it also has supplemental essays. So these essays are basically extra or additional essays that the university wants the student to write to understand them better. So there are specific questions for supplemental essays. It is not exactly about life. It's not like the Common App essay, but it is more about if the student is in this situation, or if the student is why the student wants to attend the university, something like that. So universities ask specific questions. That is why it is called specific. So those are supplemental essays. And then that is the first section. The second section is recommendations. It's called recommendations. So under recommendations, generally the requirement is one recommendation from the counselor along with submissions of school report and transcripts, and then two more recommendations. Like generally it is two recommendations from the school teachers. So those have to be teachers who teach in the classroom, who the student knows personally in a classroom setting, and then the counselor is basically the principal of the school. So if there is no counselor, then the student can approach the principal of the school. So recommend why we mention transcripts is also because the counselor has to submit the transcript. So how does this happen through Common App? How do we submit recommendations through Common App? So it is not the student who submits recommendations, it is the teachers and the counselor who submit recommendations and transcripts. University specific questions are for students, but recommendation and transcripts are for teachers and counselors. So what basically happens is on the students recommendation section, they can write the name and the email of the counselor, teacher, whoever it is, and then they can send an invitation or they can request them to give the recommendation letter. So what happens is that goes into the teacher or the counselor's mailbox, and from there they can click on a link, create an account. The teacher or the counselor, they will create an account, and then through that they can submit both the recommendation letter and the transcript in case of counselor, and only the recommendation in case of the school teachers. So that is how the recommendation transcript system works in through Common App. And once that is done, on the student's dashboard also it gets notified that, oh, recommendation has been submitted, transcripts have been submitted, this, that. So there is a good system of what has been submitted, what has been not. And once everything has a green tick, there is a green tick on every college's drop down. So once everything has a green tick, then the child can submit the Common App completely. So their entire application is ready, and then they can submit it. So one more thing is the student doesn't have to exactly wait for the recommendation to be submitted. Once they send the invite request, they will get some time. The teachers do get some time to submit the recommendation. So the green tick will already be there once the invite request has been sent. So the student can submit the Common App. So that is all about Common App. If there are any questions or if there is any doubts, then please use the question and answer box or the chat box to talk, and I'll try to answer them as much as I can.
Thank you, Vishnupriya. Thank you. That was such a detailed presentation that you have given for the Common App,
Thank you.
as Common App does deserve that much attention, that I would say. That was a really good
Yes.
way that you've explained. I hope that the audience understood what exactly we were explaining them, and hope the Common App journey becomes easier for them. But I think I do have to ask this important question.
Mm.
That is Common App application only a one-time application that has to be submitted, or can it be saved and submitted later?
Okay. So it is a valid question. Um, the Common App can be saved for later and it can be worked on multiple times, which is why I said it is important to remember the email ID and password that has been used to create the account. It is not a one time, it is not an application that has to be completed in a single sitting. It can be done again and again. So like the student can work on the application again and again. So what happens is the application gets saved, and then if the student wants to come back to it, they can go to Common App, they can log in with their email ID password, and then the application is already saved, the previous work has or is already saved, and they can continue enhancing or making changes as much as they wish or as much as they want to. So I hope that answers your question. It can be saved for later.
Yes. Thank you. We have one more question. Is there anything that a student should keep in mind while working on Common App?
Yeah, certain things to keep in mind, very basic, simple things. People know this, but I'd like to remind them because we tend to forget the smaller things because we see the bigger picture. So, one very important thing is that the student should make sure that every detail is right, every space, every blank, all of that is right. The second thing is um, I think it is the Common App is very simple. It's just that the student should be focusing more on what details they are providing over there. Everything has to be genuine. Do not make up stories and do not put fake things which are not true and all of that, because they can be verified. There are sources to verify it, so nothing should be fake. And it is a genuine thing also to do. You're applying to college, so why not be completely genuine about who you are, right? And then I'd say Common App is, like I said before, Common App is not just a one time sit thing. No, it has to be done again and again. So keep checking the Common App again and again, see what is already done, how can the student enhance it, that has to be seen, especially for parts like the essays, the honors, the activities. For the honors and activities, think a lot about what you have done in 4 years, grade 9, 10, 11, 12. Think a lot about that and try to add as many things that can be, uh, which strengthen the application instead of just adding random things. So make sure the application is um, it completely shows who the candidate is, and it is make sure the application is very very strong in terms of showing the who the candidate is. That's what I'd like to say.
Yeah, thank you. I think something that I would like to answer. I think we have talked about one specific thing, that you will have extra essays that you will have to write, right? And honestly, most of the time, until you open that college portal, you wouldn't know what those specific questions are, because it might be different from each and every college. It's not going to be same. And those sometimes the topics, okay, fine, they have, like, for example, if I say in one section you have three questions, right? Two questions, maybe you can just make your answer, make your essay and do it. But you may not know the third one, you don't even know the topic. Like, for example, I know that most of the people know about equality, but I don't think most of the people know about equity. Certainly, when I was writing my essay, I didn't know knew about it. Then I had to go back, and then I had to, like, write this, like, research on equity, and then I came back to complete my essay. So what I would say is, once you start Common App, first thing, start the essays, like, once you're done with those basic process, start with your essay as soon as possible, or just go through the questions that you get an idea, because you have to prepare your essay, you have to prepare your body on that. And as I think Vishnupriya discussed, sometimes it might be about why do you want to join like our college, simple as that. I mean, it is actually a complex question, I would say. And sorry, uh, I'll have to off my video, but and some questions might be about some a topic that they will be asking your opinion on it. In that, something I would want to suggest students is that make sure you don't come out as negative. It is important to be authentic. It is important to tell what you feel about a topic, but just remember, in any of your essays, in any personal of your essays, you don't want to come negative about anything. Like, you don't want to look like a hater. That is something you should remember. So you can tell that I don't like it because I don't, that thing doesn't make sense for me. You can just put it in a, neutral way, but just don't show any of your negativity in your essays. That is what I would recommend you, and keep that in mind. Don't do that mistake for sure.
Yes,
Um,
I definitely agree with you, Veda. Also, one thing I'd like to add because you did mention it, university specific questions. Students might not know about them, but very simple. If you know the university you're applying to, the student can go and check the website, and there under application requirements, there will definitely be, if there is university specific questions, then there will be a section which says there are supplemental essays, these are the essay questions or the essay prompts. So a student can look at that. That is something the student does not know, like you mentioned, Veda. Student can look at those questions, and they're pretty generic in nature. So why this college, or what do you want to do with your education in this college, something like that. Those questions are pretty generic, but yes, they are complex because there is a lot that of thinking that has to go into answering the question. So definitely, Veda, whatever you've suggested is very much true, and the student should be researching about the college also, because that is a very important factor in doing the university specific questions.
I think we've stressed about it, like as usual in our sessions about international education. Um, well, that's all for today's session. Um, next slide, please. As that being said, I hope that today's session was useful and fruitful for all the students and parents watching. Again, hoping that I would see you guys in the next webinar, and hoping to bring another interesting webinar to you from Rockwood's team. That's all. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Vishnupriya. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining.
Thank you, Vishnu. Thank you.